Okay, so we're back again. This time I'll be testing KDE Plasma Mobile, which is something I've been really excited about, because it's like finally a proper, well, I say proper mobile operating system, I mean one that I can mess with, because you can run desktop Linux apps on it as well, as my understanding. I did just record this video, but because I'm an idiot, I selected the wrong audio input, so there was no audio. I'm not really sure how I managed to do that, but anyway, let's do it again. So we're booting this with VirtualBox. This is not the recommended version because, unfortunately, it wasn't well, it's not the recommended version because that's built for particular devices. And there's a generic one as well, but mostly it's for a particular device, and obviously this is my desktop and it runs x86, so we need the AMD 64 version, which might explain the bugs that you're probably about to see unless they fixed themselves. So the first thing I looked at was this, which is pretty nicely laid out, and yeah, so the first thing I noticed is when you click these, the bar creeps up a little bit, see underneath the mouse pointer? I'm not sure why, but never mind. Not really a big deal, it's an alpha. Alpha things will happen. So I'm going to turn the screen, disable that option because it's going to get annoying. You can do accounts. I really like the way they've laid this out. It's really good for an alpha, the way they've done this. It's quite polished. So it has some themes, which is like a WoW thing, because you never get themes. Or do you? Do you get themes? I'm not sure. I don't think you get themes on iOS. I might have had one or two on Android. They definitely don't come with it anyway. And these are all quite nice. But we're going to stick with Breeze for now, because I'm figuring that's the one they spent the most time on, so it'll look nicest. So to go back, I can do that to close, I believe. Home or some kind of task view thing, which is quite nice. I don't know how I dismiss it though. Okay, so that's now closed. So what happened before was these bars at the top and the bottom crashed now. But maybe they're not going to. I'm just going to give it a minute, I'm not going to do anything, and we'll see what happens. Oh, okay, well, it would have crashed by now, before, so I wonder whether it's going to... maybe it's fine now, maybe it's going to be fine. So, next thing we looked at was just the video player, because I felt like it. So we have VLC, but we also have a vPlayer. I could try and search for something on YouTube, which I didn't do before. Oh, okay. So I could search for... well, I could search for KDE Plasma Mobile. I wonder if anyone has done something on it. Just to see if it plays. I don't know if the network's working, so we'll see. Play. Okay. That didn't seem to work. Let's try something else. Okay. Suppose that's not completely working right now. But it's not necessarily... yeah, that's what it did before. So I'd close something and it would just go black screen. But it only seemed to work... only seemed to happen when I used third-party apps. But when I use the built-in ones, like the settings app, it seemed okay. So I'm guessing this is the same thing we're seeing now. So I'm just going to go ahead and reset this. I'll be back with you when it's booted up. Okay, so here we go. It is now rebooted, and the next thing we're going to look at is... we're going to look at the Discover Software Center. I don't know, see though, I've noticed this, you can see these little... don't know if you can see them in the video. There were lots of little flickers there as it opened, which is more than likely some graphics glitch somehow that is perhaps VirtualBox's fault, because, well, I run Windows in VirtualBox, Fedora, Ubuntu, various versions, Parted Magic. I've also run OS X in VirtualBox, and all of those things have graphical glitches, like every single one, but they don't have on actual hardware, so I think it's got to be a VirtualBox thing. So we'll go ahead and try and install something. I wonder if it'll do what it did before. How does this work? Install. Yeah, that's what it did before. I think that's probably an issue with this build, because what this is apparently Kubuntu, but with the GUI removed and Plasma Mobile installed instead. So some of the permissions could be wrong. I don't know whether, yeah. So everything I installed does that, but the way it's laid out is very nice. As alphas go, well, it's kind of decidedly alpha-y, but it's not too bad. I don't know if this is a standard part of KDE, but I suspect that it isn't, because it doesn't have the menu bar. So we'll go back home, and I'm not going to touch anything, and see what happens. Okay, so it didn't crash that time. That's interesting. So they said we should try adding a widget, so like, let me go back to the page on the other screen. See what the names of the widgets are so I know how to search for them, because I don't really know how to use that feature. Okay, so if I go to digital clock, okay, nothing. Let's try analog clock. Okay, so it goes to a kind of white screen, it says analog clock settings, and it just took me back here. Okay. Oh. So, as you can tell, it's it doesn't quite work as expected. So I wonder whether I've tried to test this a bit too early. So the other things they've got on their list here are a comic viewer, but I don't have any comics. So it's got to be, well, I don't have any comics, and they have an XMPP client. I don't even know what XMPP is, so I'm not going to be testing that. But yeah, so the conclusion I eventually came to in the last video, which unfortunately you won't see, that was a good one, but oh well. That was the one where it wasn't recording my voice. The conclusion I came to in that one was it was working just fine, except when I tried to close an application, and then it just crashed, which is a real pain. It's a shame, it's very nicely done. I really like it, but no, I just wonder whether it was an internet access problem, so I'm going to reset again, just to check that. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so here we are again. So there's Firefox on here, so I'm just going to do that, use that to see whether... Yeah, so we've got these flickers again. I'm just going to use that to see whether the internet browsing works. Okay, maybe it does work. Can I play YouTube videos? Because it could have been a YouTube thing. So if I search for Plasma Mobile. Okay, well it's playing an advert, that's great. I'm just going to turn my volume down in case it's really obnoxious. Let's see if it plays. It's a shame someone said it was buggy on that too. Okay, so it can play, and if I full screen, it does go full screen. And this is desktop Firefox, I think. I don't know where the about is for this. Maybe it's not here. Yeah, so I have no menu bar here either. I guess that's just the style. I can quit that way. So when I close an app, even if I don't use the toolbar to do it, it just black screens on me. Okay, well, it's a bit early obviously, But I'm also going to test this on my actual hardware, and I'm also, if I can, going to test it on the Raspberry Pi, but that's a Raspberry Pi 1B+, so I don't know whether I can actually do it with that, because I think the builds are for Raspberry Pi 2s and 3s, which are on V7, but I could, something I could do is try the mobile version with QEMU, or however you're supposed to say it, on the desktop, which will run slowly, but it will let me know whether these are VirtualBox related issues or actual... No, not VirtualBox. It will let me know whether these issues are because I'm not using the recommended build, because this is the AMD 64 one, and on their website, I'm just going to check this quickly, it says the mobile Neon-based reference root file system is the recommended one, and what I'm using is the Neon-based ISO for AMD 64, so it's similar, as opposed to like Post-Market OS and the Arch Linux-based one, which is, yeah, deprecated, it says. And they haven't released a build since October. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'll try those, and I will update this post with that when I've done it. It's a shame it's well, I have lots of positive stuff to say actually for an alpha, because it does at least sort of work, whereas like sometimes with Fedora alphas I've tried, like the menu bar doesn't work, or things like, I think it was the menu, and then in VirtualBox sometimes it won't, it refuses to even boot sometimes, which might be a VirtualBox thing. I think it is a VirtualBox thing, but just stuff like that. But anyway, I shall see you in the next post, which will maybe it will be the PXE stuff. I'm doing that right now, but there's just a lot of information, so I need to break it up into more than one post and organise it well and stuff. See you later.